Born Primitive Outdoor is proud to partner with Montana Knife Company, Marsupial Gear, Evolution Outdoors, Sheep Feet, and Capture Gear. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to our sponsors. Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome. Well, Sunday afternoon, actually. Welcome back to the Born Primitive Outdoor podcast. I am going to be heading into the wilderness tomorrow to hopefully fill my elk tag. I'm actually going to bring a gun, but I've got a longtime friend. I don't think I've ever had him on the podcast. He and his wife are amazing people, amazing hunter, guide. Probably by choice, doesn't get the recognition he deserves for how good of a hunter he is, but that might be by design. But that's Steve Fernandez. What's up, dude?
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, yeah. No problem. I'm trying to think. I know you and I have never really hung out other than shows, but I was supposed to go turkey hunting with you once and fucked that up. But I think how long I've known you, a decade, I guess. My memory's not that great. How long we know? It might be longer than that. How long have we known each other?
We've chatted for years. Probably, like you said, probably 10, 12 years or so. So
yeah, it might be even longer than that. But
yeah,
time flies.
We have a lot of same buddies in the industry together, so we keep in touch quite a bit.
Yeah, Danny Ferris. He's probably number one guy that's friends with both of us. Danny's a funny dude. I tell you, he makes me laugh when he gets excited because he's just loud. He's just a loud, excitable guy. Like, when he tells a story and all of a sudden he's up 17 decibels and everybody's looking around because he's telling a story in public. I love that about Danny.
Yeah, he's a pretty awesome guy for sure.
Yeah, he's a good dude. But kind of let everybody know kind of what you're about. I mean, when I say that, like I said, great hunter, guide, and everything else, where you guide at, and you obviously you and your wife hunt together a lot. You have your own page on social, but just so everybody knows where to look for you, your adventures, and then how long you've been hunting, all that kind of stuff.
Well, we'll first start off with my wife, Jess. So Jess and I have a outdoor page called S&J Outdoors, so kind of have a little bit of everything on there. We do mostly primary bow hunting, but so now we can just talk about a little about her. Her and I have been married for about 7 years. We've been together, and she's an avid bow hunter now, and that's all we do together. We have a blast, man, and we just started up with Ralph and Vickie on the Choice TV show, so we're filming hunts now and doing some pretty cool stuff, so we're excited.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I was gonna say, I don't want to hack that. You're not in Trinidad. You're just outside, correct? Like, where are you guys located, roughly?
Yeah, we're just out in the country, east of Trinidad. So we have a little ranch out of town, so it's nice. Yeah,
heck yeah, yeah. And Ralph and Vickie, it's funny. I actually guided their kid on a goat hunt, and unfortunately almost killed him, specifically the cameraman. I don't know if you ever heard that story. Poor little guy, poor big guy, actually. But Ralph and Vickie are cool people.
Yeah, they're awesome. RJ's cool too. Aubrey. RJ told me about that hunt he went on with you, and he said that was pretty rugged country. He tore him up, but looks like it would tore me up too.
It was rough. He did kill, that thing was only 6 years old, but it had 6 1/8 bases and 50. I can't remember what it scored. It was over 50. It was a good goat, and it was a horrible, horrible day. And, I'm used to it. Like, those poor little bastards, when they showed up, had like wall chargers in their pack. And I'm like, did your parents? I was like, I'm going to call your mom and dad and tell them about child abuse, because they did not inform you what you were getting into. They thought they were hunting from like a base camp, like in and out. And I was like, no. So when they showed up, I'm like unloading their crap, and I'm like, yeah, guys, we're hiking in. And it was like, I want to say 11 miles. We hiked in. RJ might have known. RJ's a very, very good kid and a very intelligent kid. But like, he was not prepared for what most people wouldn't be, what we did. But those people are, they've been in the industry forever, but great mom and dad, great kid, just and their TV show's funnier than hell. I don't watch it all the time now because I don't watch TV, but so you're filming for them or hunting with them, or a little bit of everything?
We're mixing it up with them. I think this fall we're going to try to squeeze it in, but we're going to Oklahoma for whitetails, and we're supposed to go to Illinois with them. So we're going to see if we can cram it all in there, because it's all pretty tight in there, and we have Colorado tags too for whitetails. So we're going to try to see what we can get done. But yeah, as far as teaming up with them, it's a pretty cool deal. Like you and I, we grew up watching Ralph and Vickie when we were young on TV, and a little bit, did I know I'd end up teaming up with them. So it's really great honor and privilege to team up with such a cool couple, so.
Yeah, no, they're good people. But like, as far as about, yourself, one, I guess, how old are you now? And have you been hunting since birth? And have you always bow hunted, or like, did it kind of transition? Because again, like, since I've known you, bow hunting. So.
Well, that's all I've done. My dad was an avid bow hunter, so when I was 12 years old, I shot my first mule deer with the bow. Like those old PSE Novas, that's what we grew up with,
Yeah, Copenhagen lid cams. Yeah, I remember the Nova.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly, man. So, yeah, I've never been much of a rifle hunter. I mean, I'm not bashing rifle hunting. I think it's cool too, but I've just always had a strong passion for bow hunting. And like I said, ever since I was 12 years old, just had a bow in my hand, shooting. That's nice. Just love it,
Yeah. How long have you guide? I know you guide. Is it the Vermejo Ranch you guide on?
I've been there for close to 20 years guiding now. So I'll do turkey hunts a little bit, but primarily I like to do the elk hunts up there, Yeah,
and you guys, it seems like, just from, obviously what I watch on social media, but your primary focus is turkey and elk primarily, and then whitetail would be probably the third from what it seems like. But elk seems to be your jam in turkey. But I mean, I'm only guessing from watching your page. What really trips your trigger the most?
Everything.
Yeah.
It just depends what season it is, man. I love turkey hunting, whitetails, elk, you name it. I'll get after it. Just being in the outdoors is what it's about,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know, like, Colorado, Wyoming's the same way. And obviously I just moved from Colorado a few years ago, isn't known like for the whitetails that maybe it should be. I say, and I'm not saying it's a mecca, but definitely Colorado and Wyoming definitely get overlooked. And I hope that continues, because it is harder to get land access. There's not like a lot of public land whitetail hunting, but there is. But you shot some pretty damn good whitetail, and some of those are in Colorado. I'm kind of curious, before we start talking about elk too much, like, are you, because I know I'll be in my tree stand watching what you're doing in your tree stand as you're updating. Like, tactic wise, have you only hunted Colorado for whitetail, or have you bounced around at all?
No, I go to Kansas and Oklahoma, but that's about it. But I just got into the whitetail gig about, 7 years ago. I was always a mule deer hunter, hunting velvet muleys, and once I started hunting whitetails, I was like, holy cow, this is fun, man. Just being in a tree stand in November with the leaves changing and hearing those big bucks coming up and down the river, crunching on the leaves and rutting. There's nothing like it, So, and what I love about it is it's a long season, so you got to get your time in,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then are you, like, up here, not a lot of people rattle that much. So, and I mean, the buck I shot last year, I probably shouldn't have shot, because that's just how I am. But he came in all postured up with like steam flying out of his nose, and I was rattling pretty heavy here, and I don't, not a lot of people do it. Tactic wise down there, when they're once they start getting in the thick of things, obviously, in the rut, are you rattling much, or sitting like bed to feed, or a little bit of everything?
So we're basically hunting a river bottom. Like, that's where the whitetails hang out, around where I'm at. I've never had any luck rattling. I've tried it. But one thing I can say that's worked good for me is grunting at them. Like, I've had bucks cruising down the river, hit them with the grunt a couple times, and here they come, So that, to me, the grunt's been working better than rattling. I'm not saying it doesn't work here, but I haven't had luck with rattling yet. But, yeah, during the rut, man, those grunt tubes, I've been impressed with them,
Yeah, and I think I didn't ever rattle for my. Yeah, I haven't been whitetail hunting that long. I've been lucky enough to hunt states where I can kill a shitload of them, but it seems like there's a 5 to 7 day window that, and it doesn't, you can't do it everywhere, and that's kind of, I say what's weird or whatever, but some bucks aren't nearly as responsive, and there's going to be whitetail experts listening to this, you fucking idiot. I don't know, right? But it seems to me that there are certainly spots that are more responsive to rattling than others, where others you don't even really need to bring antlers, right? Like it's kind of like what you're talking about. And again, this is my limited experience, but I know Oklahoma, where I hunt, which is kind of in the panhandle, and then that north, the panhandle of Texas, it is extremely effective up there, but it's really pushing Thanksgiving when it's effective.
Yeah. Like you said, I think it's the area you're at too, like how many whitetail bucks are in that area or whatever. But like down here on this river bottom we're at, it's like the primary source of the whitetails. And like, you really don't need to, because they're cruising up and down these rivers pretty hard, like during pre-rut and after the rut,
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of, well, I say kind of, it's exactly the same where I'm at, where I'm hunting. It's a river bottom, and they don't really come out of it. And I say that, they'll go up to the ag fields that aren't far from the river bottom, and then, go back, but they're cruising the river bottom. And I don't know. In the one spot, I got a tree stand. Well, I got 2 set up. I'm probably 150 yards from the river. The buck I shot last year, I rattled him across the river, from someone else's land to me. But like it's a little bit easier because that's where they're at. You're not, you know what I mean? They're not heading up into the mountain range or anything. They're in that river bottom. But as far as dive into a few different things here, you've been a Hoyt guy for a very long time. And that's never something I really ever bullshitted with you about, bow setup wise, like, obviously I'm a gear guy. When I say obviously, most people know that, and I tune and tweak, but I'm pretty much always shoot the same arrow weight, same bow poundage, you know what I mean? Like I don't really deviate. You've been extremely successful, and like I said, probably not as known as you should be. And when I say that may be by design or whatever, but you've killed a ton of shit. What is your general bow setup, and have you had any vast changes? If you went like back in the day, I shot light arrows, and I won't ever do that again, but I kind of had a swing there to where now I'm 475 weight wise ish, 175 up front. But like, what's been your primary kind of setup over the years, and have you had any major deviations or changes?
Well, I'm like you. Whatever new height we get in, we tune them up and shoot them till we get comfortable with them. I started. I used to shoot the 300s because I liked the heavier arrow, just so they wouldn't drift in the wind for longer shots and stuff, But this new setup we're running this year is the RX-9. Obviously, you and I both have them. But I dropped back down to the lighter arrow. I went with the Easton 5.0s, and the reason being is I'm running the Spot Hog 3-pin slider, and my groups are so tight from 20 to 40. I could literally use one pin and kill something from 20 to 40, I'm running 100 grain broadhead, and just such a fast setup. Like even in an elk, like you have one at 20, 30, 40, you don't even have to guess. You just put the 3 pins on them because it's so stacked tight, you're going to kill. Same with whitetails in your tree stand. Just a really cool setup I have, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and Danny shoots kind of the same, setup. I don't know what his arrow's, probably 435 or something, if I remember right. Is that about, because those 5mm are pretty, you're shooting the, I guess they just came out last year, 5mm, because I was actually, talking to, I don't know if I should mention his name, but anyway, the dude that kind of runs East and the pro staff, and they're a super good kid. He had a handlebar mustache last time I saw him, and a beard. He kind of looked like Yukon Cornelius. Nice kid. Yeah. And I was actually going to run 250s out of an 85 pound Hoyt, and then load up the front because they are light. I figured, well, if I run 250s, I'm still only going to be at the same weight I'm always at, and then, run a little bit heavier poundage. But I was a huge ACC fan back in the day, and we're talking like, well, you and I are getting old, but I don't know, late 90s, 2000 time frame, and then they quit making them. So that 5mm very much intrigued me. And it's also intriguing because, like you talked about on the lightweight, you can bump up a spine, add point weight. You can, shoot standard spine, relatively standard point weight. But what is your arrow in that 430 range, or what is it at?
I to be honest, I haven't even weighed everything. I'm running the Easton Collar, the number 2 on there.
Yeah.
So I haven't really been there tinked with it too much. I'm just shooting great at paper tube so fast. Like I was like, you know what? I don't like people dive into their shit so hard that I don't worry about it just that bad. Like if my setup's money, that's all I care about.
No, and kind of reason why I brought it up is I think that. Well, I don't think I know because I get the questions. Like I just got a question about a guy, the ranch fairies wanting him to shoot. Like something you and I would never shoot 575 or what? Something I'd shoot out of a stick bow. And I'm like, look, man, I shoot like 465 to 485. I've killed everything from bison, moose on down. And I'm like, but I have friends that shoot. You and Danny, for example, Pellegrino, I think shoots pretty lightweight arrows, 425 range. They kill the same shit I do, and they kill just as much as I do. I think the most important thing is what you're comfortable with, which is basically what you were saying. So, yeah,
exactly. Like Jess, she's shooting 40 pounds, and she's shooting the Axis, the 400s, and she zips right through the big game, and it's just all about your setup, and having the proper head and. Like for lightweight bows, like Jess, we always make sure she has good contact or cut on contact head, and like her bull last year only went 40 yards. She had a pass through on her buck this year, her pronghorn, and yeah, she's just hammering with. But like you said, you got to find out what's comfortable for you, and more than anything is being accurate with your bow. Like a guy could get so into it, and they're all over the place on the target. You got to make sure you're tuned up, your bow's tuned, and you're comfortable with your equipment. And that's the most important thing, I think, Yeah,
and you guiding, I always like to, it's, from when you're out west, it is more difficult, especially if you're on like a moderate budget to, if you shoot 2 or 3 animals a year out west, you're doing... Especially if you're only hunting one state, real damn good, right? Where you go back east or down south, you got a higher tag limit. You can, hogs and everything else, you can put 100 animals down in a season if you got the time. But when you're, a successful bow hunter like yourself, and then you're guiding, you get to see a lot more. You get a lot more experience seeing just about everything you could possibly imagine, from different hits on animals, the penetration, everything else. And so it's always good to, I think anyway, bounce setups off of successful hunters and guides because you really get actual boots on the ground situations and scenarios of what can happen. And so like you were talking about with Jess shooting a cut on contact, like what broadhead are you shooting?
Well, we're sponsored with Interlock now, so we're shooting these heads called the Falcon. They look like kind of like a Muzzy Trocar, the really low profile design. They fly great, man, and we're enjoying them. But as far as last year, she was shooting iron wills. That's what we were using before we had to switch over. But there's some great heads out there. I mean, there's some that suck and there's some that are good, and you just got to shoot them,
Yeah, on that, like the Interlock broadhead, and they've been out for a very, very long time. When you're that, that's another big question. Like I've shot fixed blades. I shoot mechanicals more, now probably than anything. Well, not probably, more than anything else. It's the same thing as your bow. It's what you're confident with, like, whether that be a mechanical or a fixed blade. But like you said, hitting the animal in the right spot is far more important than anything else. Like, how many nightmare stories do you have from guiding? Anything that like sticks out in your brain, setup wise, or anything like that?
Well, when it comes to elk, I don't ever recommend using mechanicals unless you have a high pound bow, like you're shooting 80 pounds, 70 pounds. something that you could get in there and go through some rib bone. But as far as guys shooting 60 pounds or like a lower weight, I don't ever recommend mechanicals, just for the fact they're wallowed up. Sometimes their hair is muddy, and you hit a rib bone on an elk with the mechanical. It's not, you might get through there, but it might only go in an inch, So I don't recommend them, just because I've seen a lot of single hit, like say for example, I had one hunter shoot a rage at a bull elk, and he was only 30 yards, cracked right through a rib bone, only went in about 5 inches. We found his arrow broken, and we never found the bull. And it was a perfect shot, And if he would have had a chisel head, like cut on contact head, if he would have killed that bull, So, and I've had a lot of buddies that's happened to too. I'm not saying they don't work, but I prefer guys use fixed blades all the time. Just to make sure you're going to get that penetration.
Yeah, and I mean it's important. Like obviously, again, everyone has their own deal on this. Like when I say deal, like you can talk to guys that are adamant, like only shoot a fixed, adamant only shoot a or whatever, right? And so again, what you're comfortable with is like obviously most important. The thing that if your bow's tuned, hopefully, right, that's the biggest issue I have with clients is accuracy in the bow being tuned correctly. I when I say that, meaning I've had some guys show up where I've literally had to rebuild the bow when they show up, and not rebuild it, but shim cams over or do some major tuning. Not because maybe not they wouldn't have killed the animal, but with a fixed blade, far more important, the tune is huge, right? I mean, and especially, maybe you're not comfortable shooting far, and when I say far, whatever you consider far, 60 plus, but it is very important for follow-up arrows if you're going to shoot far, that accuracy, and when you're reaching out, you have the applicable setup. And like you said with Jess, she's shooting 40 pounds and last year zipped right through, an elk and died in, 40 yards. I've shot those interlocks before. I shoot higher poundage. I shot their 4-blade kind of chisel tip, trocar tip, when I was shooting them. And I don't know what the name was, honestly. It was a 125 grain 4-blade chisel tip looking thing. And they're cheap, which is nice. They don't cost that much. I think they're like $60 for 4 or for 6, maybe $50, something like that. They're not bad.
Yeah, like every broadhead company is trying to come out with innovation. Like you said, you got to just shoot them and see what works for you. Like there's a lot of broadheads that I'm not a guy that believes in tuning your bow to a broadhead. I think
no.
You should find a broadhead that shoots like a field point out of your bow without doing anything, So, and they're out there, like you said. You just got to do your homework, shoot a bunch of heads, what you're comfortable with, and no, I don't. I'm like you and I said, mechanicals are great. Like there's that new Beast broadhead, and then my son shot a deer with that, and he almost put his fist through that hole. It was so big. But like I say, if you're going out west though for elk, and you're taking a gamble with the mechanical. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to kill them, but there's going to be times where you hit a rib bone with the mechanical, and it's going to be a nightmare for you. So that's just my advice. You guys can do what you want, but now when it comes to whitetails, turkeys, everything like that, I'm a mechanical guy all day long.
Yeah, and I don't obviously on my end, and I try to put context to this when I'm explaining it to guys. And there are mechanicals that work at lower poundage, but like for me, and I've had even friends like, man, you don't need to have that much poundage, or you don't whatever, but like I don't have any issue shooting, anything with the mechanicals I'm shooting, but right now it's not 85, it's actually 82 pounds. It's a 484 grain arrow, and it's doing like 289. I'm good, right? I don't worry about that. But I also have seen nightmares, shit happens. And when I say that, you could shoot 4 in a row with a mechanical, and you may have a nightmare on the 5th. You could shoot 4 in a row with a fixed and have a nightmare on the 5th. And when I say that, meaning people do, they don't ever blame the Indian, right? They blame the bow, right? And so when I say that, meaning if you hit something in the stomach, more trauma may have been good, but if you just hit where you were aiming at, it does even better. And so shit does happen. How many nightmare stories do you have guiding? Do you got any?
I've got funny ones. The whole thing is like you have to be patient. Like if you're not sure where you hit the elk or with the deer or whatever, back out of there. Like some guys get excited and want to go look for blood right away. Like for instance, I had this elk hunter last year. I called this bull in. He came out 20 yards. The guy shot him right between the legs, and you know where I'm talking about. And I said, "Where?" And I came over the hill after I was done calling. I said, "Where'd you hit him?" He goes, "I hit him in the ding dong."
Oh, good Lord.
So it was funny. We backed out of there, came back 7 hours later, only to find the bull was almost expired. We walked right up to him and got him. But the whole key is like even a bad shot. Like if you're patient, like your gut shot, like you and I've seen, you leave them for 20 hours and don't push them. They'll go 100 yards, lay there and die. You go in there an hour later and bump them, you'll never see them again. So. And
that actually, the people that I was just talking about with my buddies that you've helped out or met or whatever else, that actually happened with Blake. They went in after a half an hour and they didn't find it. And when he was telling me this scenario, man, when in doubt, wait, right? When in doubt, wait. And when I say that, especially like this time, the meat's not going to go bad. It gets cold enough at night. And so I'm kind of curious on this. I'm not as patient as you on the 20-hour thing, but certainly stomach hit 10 to 12 is kind of my, thought process. 8, you might be fine. Liver, you're generally going to be good pretty quick, but it's probably a good idea to wait 4. I'm horrible about that on a liver. I usually wait an hour and sneak in, but when in doubt, like I said, wait. Usually for me, it's 4 for a liver, and I'm just going to say 10 for stomach. But what, like you said, add a little bit more to that for people listening in that are about to go hunting and haven't ever hit an animal before. What are kind of your parameters for waiting when you think it hit X, Y, or Z?
So if it's a double lung and he's squirting like a fire hose, 20 minutes, we'll go in there real slow. But like you said, liver, I'll go 6 hours, and then like you said, have an arrow knocked, creep in there, and be ready. Gut shot, I don't even mess with until the next day. I'll just come back the next day. And if you find them, the best thing to do, like even if you have a gut shot and they sat all night, is just do the gutless method. Like you don't even have to get into the cavity till the very end to get the tenderloins out, and that's if they're not spoiled. But doing the gutless method with stomach shots works great, and you don't have to worry about your meat getting anything on it, and it's fine. But just not bumping the animals is the whole key. But
well, talk about the bump sucks, because now if you bump them and they run 100 in bed, you're good. But that first bump, they're giving it all they've got, and all they've got can be a whole lot. So talk about that bump. Like, have you bumped some before or other guides or whatever? Because generally that bump, you're never going to find them. It's not good.
We've all bumped when we were younger. That's why we've learned not to do it again anymore, And a couple of years ago, Jess shot a whitetail buck, and it was a liver hit. And we waited about 4 hours, and it started snowing so bad here. I was like, shit, we got to go down there. And we're following the blood trail, and we heard crashing through the willows, and we bumped that buck, and we never found him. He just took off, and that was a 4-hour liver weight, and never found him. Like you said, that adrenaline gets going in them, and they have the will to survive. They'll go another mile, So,
dude, sometimes farther than that. It's depressing. And the thing is I hate when guys message me on social with that story, and I've got to be the guy to tell them you're fucked, right? You ain't finding it. I'm sorry. Like, keep looking, but don't have high hopes, but give it all you got. Because, man, I know, like visually, right? Like down on the border where we guide, I watched one we bumped. The rifle saved us, right? Like we could grab the rifle. That thing went 2 miles with a devastating stomach hit, and he didn't stop. ever. Like, he kept going until we shot him again with a rifle. And the thing is when you watch that and you have the experience like you have, you learn real quick, like, they can go for so long and so far and bed up in some brushy hole that you'd never find. And that initial, they've probably clotted up, right, if there was any blood at all. So then you're screwed because you don't have anything to look for after the bump. Yeah.
And, that's a horrible feeling for any hunter, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen to you and I again.
I don't know, man. It's happened too much. I'm getting to the point now where it might not, because I'm trying not to be stupid. But, dude, like you said, the liver shot in the 4-hour thing. That's why I wanted to preface in the beginning. I probably don't wait as long as I should. And I should add context to that. And it's probably something good you and I talk about. If it's a liver hit and it's 4 hours, and like you talked about snowing, or 4 hours and a high probability of a high coyote population where they may get on it pretty quick, and it's open terrain, I should add that, where I think I can get a shot, meaning I can sneak in and more or less still hunt my way through and launch another one. That'll really push it to 4 more than anything. Those kind of circumstances, there's always variables, but depending, right, with, like you said, liver and 4 can make for a very long day. So be safe, wait longer. But
yeah, the thing that the guys need to do is just, when they're hunting, it's kill time. You just got to get in the zone and just lock your pin in and focus, man. Because you could be the best shot in the world shooting 12 ringers all day long, and then you get a big buck or a big bull right in front of you and your heart's pounding. You got to be able to just settle that pin, Like, even this year when we were filming our pronghorn hunts, this big buck was coming in that I shot, and my heart was racing, dude. I usually don't get buck fever, and I had to, like, take a deep breath, turn my head, blow it out, and then I just settled that pin in, because I was shaking before he got there. But I settled that pin and I drilled him, But that's the key, man, is making sure that first shot's the one, And,
yeah.
You don't get a second chance, so you got to make sure the first shot's the one,
Yeah, and I don't. It's weird. I don't get as rattled, and I say that I really don't get rattled on the ground anymore. I get fucked up in a tree stand. Like, well, I say that if they come in fast, I'm good. Man, when I can hear them and see them coming, my typewriter leg gets so bad. Like, it's I don't know why, right? I mean, it's in a tree, I can watch them, but when you're talking about settle the pin, man, that's easier said than done. And there's like shot coaches and everything else, but until you experience that, it's uncontrollable at times. It's like you're shivering and you have hypothermia, but you don't. You're just excited.
Shit, well, when you're hunting whitetails in November, you're shivering anyway because it's cold. Big ass buck coming in, you're in trouble. You got to hold still, man. I remember I had a doe come in one day, and I was already kind of shivery, and I was getting ready to shoot her, and I was like, holy crap, I can't even hold my bow straight, man. And I was just shaking there, and finally I was able to make a decent shot. But I know exactly what you're talking about. It's funny how a guy can get,
Yeah, and you don't ever know what's going to cause it. And I mean, I don't. Again, I've hunted. You have too, right? Like, there's. I definitely get excited for other people, probably more so than even myself when I'm hunting on the ground, and I still get excited. Don't get me wrong, but the thing with this, like, if you were gonna like expand this conversation of holding your pin steady, it's also remembering actually what the hell happened after you hit it. And there's nothing worth as a guide when you're not right beside the hunter and he doesn't know where he hit it. He's not sure what direction it ran, but he did hit it. And it's like remembering some very specific things are very important to you finding it, or if you're being guided, helping the guide, which is where you hit it. Hopefully you remember that, where it was, and marking it, and the direction it headed when you hit it. Because, dude, blood trailing sucks. I'm a good tracker. I am not a good blood trailer. And I don't know how many times where I don't know. I'm like, you don't know anything? It's like, well, you were here. Like, I was not here, dude. Like, help me out. Like, what happened? And they just kind of black out.
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes you're on hands and knees looking for a drop of blood, and I know what you're talking about. It's hard.
Yeah, and I just don't see red that well. So, like, I have to really thank God I can shoot good because I don't have to blood trail very often because you do not want me on blood. Like, tracking, I'm your guy. I can't see red for shit. I just can't. I kind of see it. But, dude, I don't know how good you are. Like, I've got buddies, and you may be a guy like you that are just bloodhounds. Man, they're on it, and I just get out of the way because I just don't have it.
I do pretty good. Like Danny and Lane Ferris, they're colorblind. Like,
oh, Danny's not worth a shit. Danny's horrible.
Yeah, they have to have a double to see that blood, you know. But yeah, I see it pretty decent. Like nowadays, these headlamps are so damn bright. You know, you can see pretty good. But like you said, we don't even want to have blood trails like that. So settle that damn pin and make sure you get it good in there. You know, hit those lungs and heart. You know, but.
Well, actually, did Danny ever tell you about that antelope I hit with him we didn't find?
That again, buddy?
Did Danny ever tell you about that antelope I hit with him we didn't find?
I think he did say something about that.
It wasn't a good story if he didn't tell you. I know why, because we're both idiots. And this is something, my editing guy may take this out, but like I hit it with a very wide broadhead with my recurve. And the angle, and it spun, you know, antelope, how they do. It had 2 feet of intestines hanging out of it for like a mile, like, I don't know, 1,000 yards, whatever it was, and bedded up. And it was getting late. And this is like, did we do the right thing wrong? I mean, we didn't get the antelope. And I mean, this antelope was not, you would have never in a million years imagined it would keep going. It bedded down. We were running out of light. We were talking about coyotes. And I'm like, man, I can sneak in on that thing, get another shot, put another arrow in it. We never found it, ever. And when I say another arrow, I put another 1 3/4 wide fixed blade through it and never found it. And when the first arrow was hit it had 2 feet of intestines hanging out of it. And we still had, oh, dude. And I mean, you look back, like Danny and I, like, we're idiots. Like, just stupid. But it's good with social media. People generally don't tell stories like this, but they're learning experiences. This was the last time I did anything stupid. Well, at least maybe not in life, but the last thing I did anything stupid hunting when it comes to blood trailing. And if you were sitting there with us, like, would you have been the voice of reason, or would you have been the guy of like, sounds like you might have said, you two fatties, shut up, because it didn't work, right? We didn't find it. And I mean, I put another arrow in it after that, and we looked for, I don't know, 8 hours the next day. And I mean, it's Eastern Colorado. It's not like the timber where you know what I mean? Like, you can see, and we couldn't find coyotes. We didn't find it. So shit happens.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes you're like, I have the worst luck, you know, like I've been through that too, but it's not bad luck. It's just bow hunting, man. It's just how it goes. It's like, you know, I don't care how good a guy thinks he is. You're always going to get humbled on a hunt here and there, you know, like, they're just never like, sometimes it goes perfect, and most of the time it's not going to go perfect, you know?
Yeah. And I think you said it though, patience, right? And when I say patience, I don't have a lot of it, right? But I mean, I think at times, and I've had guys where I'm like, look, if you don't shut up, I'm going to take your boots and I'm not giving back to you for 8 hours because your ass ain't going. And you know, cause like when I say that, and I'm sure you've had clients, a lot of humans, and we're not perfect. They see what they want, and they see a perfect hit, or they see, you know, I think I hit it here, you know, and so that's when you really don't want to push your luck, because like you said, I just have bad luck. Generally, you didn't have bad luck. You were kind of a fucking idiot, including me, right? And so it's really not luck. It's bad decision making. Sometimes it's bad luck, but generally for me, it's been me being a dumbass and not taking my time or again, waiting long enough.
Yeah. Usually though, like with hunters, after they shoot, I make them stay behind, and I just sneak in really quiet for the first 20 yards because I want to see what kind of blood it is, you know, or find the arrow. Once I kind of know what kind of hit it is, then I decide what move I'm going to make. But I always have hunters say, oh, shit, you're going in there? I'm like, no, just chill out. I'm just going like 30 yards in here. I want to see if it's lung blood, if it's liver blood, you know. And obviously I'm not going to go in there and start pushing them, but it's good to know, like, even if you shoot one at night and you're iffy, they're going to run far enough away that you're you're not going to bump them if you go look right where you shot, just go real quiet and kind of see.
Let's add context to that, because I have mentioned that to people that took it way farther than I'm looking at the point of impact. And if I can see where they ran, I have a parameter of how far I will go before I turn around to see that blood. So for me, if I made the shot at 40 yards and I could watch them run for another 40 to 100, let's say, I'm not pushing any farther than that for the simple fact I don't want to bump them. So I'm looking at the blood between impact and another 40 to 80 generally is the most I'll go, and I'm real sneaky when I do it. But is that where you're at, or a little different?
I do just like that, man. And the thing is, like, us as guides and hunters, we want to know where exactly the hit was, and when you find your arrow, your little bit of blood, that's when you determine, hey, I'm leaving here, if it gets dark and like you have a hunter say, oh, it ran that way, like you have no clue which way it went if you weren't watching, if you're back calling or something, you, like you said, you want to have at least some kind of understanding which way they went, but I'm not saying everybody do it, but guys that are experienced, that are super quiet and stealthy, that's okay,
Yeah, one of the things that I do, and you don't have to do this, but I don't carry it. I don't like leaving ribbon all over the forest and with the mapping softwares we have and things like that. And when I say that, if you leave ribbon all over the forest, so be it. But like, I know a lot of guys on my blood trail, they're hanging 2 feet of ribbon everywhere. And I just don't personally like, doing that. And so the one thing I will do generally is I break if it's a low light shot, like, towards the end of the day, I take a chem light with me and break it off for where the arrow impacted. And when I say that, so I know for example, if we come back early the next morning, like I can see that chem light and they're just a little stick, looks like a cigar, you break it and it lights up. I'll use those sometimes, but I think it's important, whether it's a GPS or mapping software. I mean, if you're going to use that technology, to use it to your best, advantage, because when you do lose blood, if you're tracking that on the mapping software, it does help. And I don't know how much you do that or anything else, but if you've never been on your hands and knees looking for blood, cursing God and your own dumb ass for doing something wrong, everything helps. And so do you hang ribbon? Do you use software? Like, what do you generally do, on impact or after impact when you're trailing?
Onyx maps all with me everywhere I go, but I just keep a roll of toilet paper because it does two things for you.
Dude, toilet paper goes away quick. Ribbon, years, right? Yeah. So toilet paper is a good thing. Like I've had guys, oh, that's ugly. I'm like, well, when it rains, it'll be gone. It's fine, right?
Exactly. Well, I use it. It'll deteriorate and it'll save you after you eat some hot chilies in the morning. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it definitely will do that. You don't want monkey butt. And the decisions you make on blood trailing, and you rewind and I mean, how old are you now? Because I know we're somewhat close to the same age. 45, buddy.
Yeah, I got you by a few, but you've got some wisdom behind you. From when you were 20 to now, the amount of shit that you learn is, I mean, it can't even be, I say quantified, but like because sometimes you take things for granted or whatever else. And when you go on a blood trail with someone that's never blood trail or done it very little, I have flashbacks and when I was young and dumb thinking, dude, why do you keep walking ahead? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're walking over the blood. I can barely see it anyway, dude. Chill. Like, stay behind. Like it is very important when you run out of blood. One, like butterfly out, right? Like when I say run out of blood, don't keep walking on where it could have gone. And if you get to a point where you're on your hands and, knees, that may be where you throw up some toilet paper. You mark it so last blood. And I guess dive into that a little bit on blood trailing, because I get that question a lot and it's hard to respond to in text of properly blood trailing.
Yeah, when you have specks of blood like that, and you're on leaves or whatever, and you're walking back and forth, you're going to stir it up, and you're going to lose it, But yeah, sometimes when you're in that situation, when it's that bad, it gets that bad, you're not going to find them. So, like I said, your best friend is time. Like that's why I'm like a firm believer in time rather than like I know, like you said, if you're in an area where there's coyotes, they're going to chow it down. That's the gamble you take. But time is always your friend with the bad shot. So
yeah, let's talk about the coyotes just a little bit more, because I don't want to be taken out of context with that. When I say that, that means I'm erring on the side of, let's say, liver, stomach. And when I say liver, stomach, like a lot of trauma to the animal, wide open spaces, not thick, dark timber. Because again, like the coyote thing, coyotes will in an entire mule deer overnight in a high populated, area. But, generally, if the animal is going to live a while, the worst thing that's going to happen, they're probably not going to eat it. They're just going to push it a little bit. They'll push it for a while, or could. But again, you still have a chance of finding it if that happens, and if you blow it out yourself. When I say that. And so it's always it's a decision. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you and I were hunting together, I mean, there's a time we sit down and circle the wagons, like, what should we do? And generally it's wait. You're right. I mean, generally it's like you should wait longer. And I mean, how many elk hunts are you doing a year normally? 1 or 2?
I got about 4, 5.
Yeah. And what can you say, like, where are you guiding out of?
I'm down in northern New Mexico. So
yeah. And that spot that you're at, what are the caliber of bulls in there? I mean, you guys get some tanks, don't you?
The average is like 330, man. So I mean, we're killing bulls all the way up to from 330 to 380. Sometimes we get some 400-inch bulls in there, but they have a really good genetic down there in this country.
Yeah, and so I would imagine, and in as many places as I've hunted, I would think it's probably the same. Man, bulls act differently. Obviously down there, probably going to be more, vocal or whatever else, but like this year, the rut has been horrible. It sounds like, nationwide, right? It's just not been, when I say horrible, it's kicking in way late. Do your tactics change from hunting on that ranch to like when you're hunting, in the areas you draw, or public land hunting?
Well, I just got skunked on my, I drew a limited archery tag here in Colorado. Supposed to be a really good unit, and I've been in that country. Seen a lot of elk over the summer scouting. Figured I'd wait this last week of September, be peak rut in there. I go in there and it's a ghost town, man. Like, I'm seeing bulls. They're not bugling. There's not a lot of numbers of cows, and I was like, oh crap, weird, man. And anyhow, I'd be in some prime spots, first light. You wouldn't even hear a bugle. You'd be like, what the heck, man? And you'd be walking through the trees, see fresh droppings. They're in there.
Dude, that was my first 18 days. I'm like, 4 to 6 mile an hour wind, can hear a bugle for miles, and it's just like crickets. And you're like, what is going on? Like, this isn't right. And I can see fresh poop. I can see fresh tracks. I mean, I know they're there, and it sucks. And you kill a bull just about every year, don't you?
Usually I do. This year got skunked, but if it happens. But I was going to dive into this deal about the rut. So every bull that I got into, I was making them bugle, like force bugling them. Like, I'd be in the dark timber and the Quakies, just working my way through on a high ridge. I'd get one to fire off close to me, and I'd set up on them, start calling a little bit. Have my buddy Hunter Bowserman, Jace Bowserman's son, was running the camera for me. He was running some sweet little cow calls. Figured bull would just come charging in like they usually do. Not the case on this hunt, man. You'd hit one cow call, zip, done. You wouldn't hear another bugle, And like you said, I had single-digit wins, so they were just swirling the whole hunt. So my odds were stacked against me, And I'm like you. I'm not one to give up, but I put 50 miles in, and I have blisters and black toenails, like I was like, time to call it quits, man. I can't go no more. But and there was even some spots I was like, man, if I kill one back here, I'm in trouble, Oh,
dude, I'm about to do that myself. Yeah.
Yeah, you go that far in there, and you're like, holy heck, man. Like, we'd go in so deep that we'd find wall tents from outfitters that would go on horseback way in there, and shit. The last night Hunter and I were in there, we were working this ridge, man, and I ripped one. Bull answered me maybe 60 yards over this little crest, and I had perfect wind, set Hunter up back in there. He started cow calling real soft. The bull just shut up, man. And then I was like, what the heck? And pretty soon the wind swirled and I could hear him take off. I was like, and he sounded like a good mature bull the way he screamed, you know. I was like, I thought he'd come running in like any other bull would, you know, but that wasn't the case. And I was talking to some good buddies of mine like Jermaine Hodge and some of the Phelps Pro staff guys that I'm on with, and they were just telling me everywhere they were going, it was the same scenario. So, and like even Bill Pellegrino, he's one of the best elk hunters I know too, and he said he couldn't get a beagle to save his ass up in the mountains, man. So, and even Danny right now, he's up in the hills chasing him, and I haven't talked to him, but Bill told me he's having the same scenario. Like he'd get on bulls and they would just be tight-lipped and couldn't work him, you know. So it's just an odd year.
Yeah, and I was on the other end of the spectrum. If we bugled, that's what happened. Cow calls were working my buddy that just shot that bull. Never touch. I mean, he was lost calf calling, and it was funny because I'm thinking he ain't coming. So I grabbed my calls, and I don't know. He went from 450 to 200 away, and I'm like, Chris, I ain't doing shit. And he looked back, he's like, what? And I'm like, whatever you're doing's working, because I ain't calling, because he's coming. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And on the other end of the spectrum, that, people always say sub 80, scream, and they'll have their dominant. I don't believe in that in all times, right? Because we got in on a big bull. The one I'm actually going to bring my rifle and go back in. Chris just perfect bugle, and that bull gathered his cows up and walked off. And when we got into the herd, Chris called, and I had a raghorn, 2 cow, or no, I didn't have a rag. That was the time before. I had 2 cows, 8 and 14 yards from me. And I'm thinking this bull is going to come grab these cows. Like, I'm good. I went to full draw. No, he did that goofy ass, whatever they call it, bull calling cow, gathered the herd, and then just walked up the hill screaming the whole way, but would not come in. And late rut, did we do something wrong? I don't know, but it's different. Each unit is different every year, and you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, that's funny. Like you said, I've been on herd bulls in the timber where they're bedded down, and I sneak in there, rip one, and here he comes charging in right to the hunter, and we whack a big herd bull at 20 yards. But there's other times, like you said, you make one call and he's pushing them and they're gone. But you never know. You've got to try. I mean, that's why we're hunting, obviously. You never know what's going to work,
Well, it's like when you don't bugle, it's almost like playing basketball and not shooting. It's hard not to bugle. And I say that I don't bugle as much as others. And I just, I have my own system, but I mean, it's really hard when you're sub 100 on a bull beating a tree to death to not bugle at the bull. It's just like in your innate nature or mine, but it doesn't, that unit just south of where you hunt that I'd been hunting a few years, that was an area that you didn't bugle a lot either. The bull to cow ratio was high. And when I say that, you didn't want to do as aggressive of bugles because there was just too many bulls, and they'd have 3 to 5 cows, and they didn't want to lose them.
See, and Dirk Durham and I were just talking about bugling. So I'm a firm believer in screaming at bulls. So here's the deal. Like bulls, yeah, some are going to be scared, but not very often. How many cows do you think get bred by raghorn bulls,
Yeah.
They come into bugle. I'm a big believer in bull sounds. Like, I love bugling at them. I mean, if you sound like shit, and obviously, and should be doing it like crazy, but if you're legit and you know how to sound like there's a real bull there and there's cows, like I've had good luck. I've done great with bugles, chuckling and growling, but the other night when Hunter and I were in the park, I was just ripping bugles right before the sun came down. I called the raghorn in. I was about to kill him, and then that was the last night and ended up not doing it. But he came right into those bugles. He was looking for that big daddy with the cows. He wanted to be on the tail end of one of those cows. So I think I don't really think bugles scare him off. I think what scares the big bulls off with the cows is that he's going to come and steal them sometimes, but you're going to call a lot of bulls in with bugles because they're thinking that bull has cows, so.
Well, and that's kind of why I brought it up, because it was a weird year, because normally, not always, normally that works. And you can bugle far better than Chris and I, but it's weird because, like you said, sometimes it does work, right? And they come like straight in, and it was a weird, year, because like we had 5 bulls bugling, the other day, and they were just beating trees, and we couldn't get them to come out of the wood line. We had a gun. This is with Chris. We had a gun, and obviously maybe I need to work on my calling, but I'm like, surely to God, one of these is going to pop out in an opening, and I couldn't get them to come out. And maybe I just suck at calling, but it was frustrating because when you have at least 5 bulls bugling around you, and when I say around, not like 50 yards around, but whatever, 400 and in, you would think with a rifle it's a done deal. Yeah, no, we still managed to screw it up. We didn't kill one. We killed one the next day. It's weird.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, like when you have a caller behind you, it usually works pretty good. Like if you have a good setup, obviously good wind and everything. But this year, no matter what I did, we'd have perfect setups, and like you said, they just didn't want to work. It was just one of these years. And I'm still curious if these cows went into estrus already or they didn't. So no one knows what the answer is, but I still don't believe that there's any way all these cows are bred. So I think
brought that up, dude. I had game cameras with solo cows on them on the 18th, with game cam, like literally solo cows on the 18th with no bull. Now, could they have broken from the herd? But when you have a wallow behind the cow, well, you would think, right? And the cow was there for 20 minutes in front of the camera. Dude, and you can tell it hadn't been bred. I didn't see, when I say recently, you didn't see the hoof prints on their butt where they pinch them. I'm like, what's going on? Like, she shouldn't be alone. It's just weird.
I just think these ruts are just getting spread out longer and longer now. Let me tell you a little story. About 2 years ago, I had an old guy I was guiding. He had a management bull elk tag, and we were having a pretty hard time finding a bull. I go up in the high country, dude, and it's November the 1st. I'll never forget it. And it's the guy's last day, and we were parked there, and I said, "Did you hear that bugle?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "All right, let's walk up this draw." And we get up in there, dude, and bulls are screaming. And I'm watching 2 bulls fighting, and they're like 330 bulls. They're not raghorns. It's like a full rut, dude. And I was like, holy cow. And it was like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think a lot of these cows, some of these younger calves that are older could get into heat late. So you just never know when a rut's going to happen. But long story short, we got into it was like a mega rut in November 1, and I glassed all those bulls, and I found a big giant 5x5 management farm, and he ended up killing him. And that was just because they were bugling on November 1st, or I would have never found him, And I wasn't surprised to hear a rut going on that late. So, like you even see spotted calves late sometimes in the year nowadays. So you just never know what the impact the cows are doing to the rut, and that's what I think's happening.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for when I go back in with the gun. I was going back and forth, and I had some stuff happen to me recently that kind of swayed me to bring the rifle, but I was like thinking when I go back in there, they should be cranking the first 2 weeks of October. That's my hope. And like you talked about the spotted cow thing, that's a thing that people don't pay attention to, that I've gotten to the point I pay very, very close attention to, when you generally when the cows are supposed to pop out, and then you fast forward of like, okay, this bull had to have gotten bred mid-October, or this cow, because of what the calf looks like, later on down the
crazy. Yeah, exactly. Because it's so late, so they're like almost a month behind the game. So that's why I'm saying some of these cows are getting bred so late. It's throwing the rut in the rifle season. And I've been noticing that guiding too, like during our rifle hunt, we're in rut nowadays, like September used to be the hot month, and now seems like October's starting to switch around,
Yeah, well, I'll keep you posted on how that pans out for me, but that's what I'm hoping. So, what we obviously talked about, whatever, the guiding and bow hunting or whatever else, but, as far as like your, personal success, And I think, where have you
Buddy,
lived?
still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, buddy, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I don't know what the heck happened there.
It doesn't matter, my editing. Jerry will fix it. So, where I left off, I think I was saying, we've talked about guiding and some of your hunting, but like more of your personal success. And have you always lived down in that Trinidad area?
Yeah, I grew up here. Matter of fact, I have a plumbing heating company, so it's kind of nice. It gets me freed up to get some guys that work for me. Gets me freed up to go do a lot of hunting for myself in the fall.
Yeah. So
being self-employed is always a bonus.
How many elk have you killed? Have you kept semi-track of that?
Shoot, not a ton like you think. I've always guided so much, so I don't ever get to squeeze it in like I want to. But I've killed a lot of nice bulls over the years. I've killed tons of pronghorn with a bow, so that's kind of my main thing. Now, like
you probably killed. What have you killed? Probably 15, 20 elk.
Probably something like that. Same pronghorn, but you and I have both put a lot of arrows in animals over the years,
Yeah, well, 15, 20 elk's a lot of elk, and then you've probably guided, I don't know, how many would you say you've guided over the last 10, 20 years?
Hundreds. Yeah, I've seen hundreds of bulls go down, so yeah, I've had a lot of experience with elk, so it's pretty cool.
With pronghorn, are you spot and stock or ground blind, a little of both?
I've shot them spot and stock, but we hunt water. It's the most effective way to kill them here in Colorado. You know that. Early season when it's hot, it's a productive way to get them. Funny, last year I was in the ground blind with Jess, and this big buck I was after, he winded us, and he ran out to 90 yards, and she's like, "Oh man!" I was like, "It's calm out here." And I turned my spot hog to 90. Nailed double lunged him, but I'm like, we're shooting constantly. Like, we have archery ranges in our yard, so I'm not recommending people fling bombs like that unless they're 100% confident in themselves, in the right condition, But that's like that. Having a big block target's always the key. Being able to shoot the long ranges, getting comfortable with your bow,
Yeah, well, you shot a good. Both of you guys shot good antelope this year as well. I think I'm going off of my memory. I follow your guys' page pretty close. You guys both shot good antelope.
Yeah, they're probably like in the high 70s, close to 80. Both of our bucks, so pretty good ones,
Yeah, and I don't think. I've only shot. Out of all the antelope I've only shot 2 antelope over 80, one with a bow and one with a gun. One was down on a weird, tag on the border of Mexico. An 80-inch antelope is a big antelope. And I hear some people kind of talk about score, and I'm not like an antelope guy, but I know antelope well enough, where I've seen some scores posted on 80-inch antelope's a big ass antelope. 70 is a solid antelope. High 70 specifically to me, it is hard to produce. You hit 85, 84. It's a giant.
I think the biggest one I ever shot was 84. And I didn't even know he was in the area. It just happened. But, yeah, he's a giant. He has like 7.5-inch cutters on him. Just beauty, And just killed one over 80 with me. So, we lucky down here in southern Colorado. We got some really good bucks,
Yeah, and do you guide antelope hunters at all, or you just hunt them? Yeah,
no, just that's kind of Jess and I's thing. Like, we love hunting pronghorn together, so we do that, and mostly all I guide archery elk, and then the first and second rifle, and then I'll do like a late season elk hunt,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And you're talking about the ground blind thing. I used to be into the spot and stock antelope. I think I'd rather have a fork stabbed in my eye than a cactus in my dick again. I just, I'm not in it on the, I'm not as excited about spot and stock antelope as I once was. I definitely prefer the old ground blind now. I've done enough low crawling. And it is, if you want to challenge yourself, I would say that's a good way to do it, but it's just generally more practical and successful to ground blind hunt.
Yeah, well, if the guy waits till the late part of the pronghorn season, and using decoys is a really good, effective tool. It's just that we're always switching gears and going to elk hunting, but like Danny Ferris's decoy company, ultimate predator decoys. Like you get those on your bow in like late in mid-September, when they're starting to rut hard. It's pretty cool, man. You can get them to run right up to you,
It's a different world. I'm glad you brought that up because, and obviously I've used Danny's decoys a ton and promote the crap out of them. Because I've had, guys with the decoys earlier in the season, like, hey, they don't work or what. And it's like, well, they'll help at times, but I promise you in the rut, there's things you'll see that you didn't think humanly possible that an antelope will do at times in the rut with a decoy. Like I've only hunted them, I've guided, but I've only hunted them 3 times in the rut. And dude, I've seen them come in like that because it's basically a cow elk call, but you can probably do it better. Dude, they'll come in from 400 yards out on a dead run. Like you can't adjust your sight fast enough.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty cool, man. They're neat animals for sure.
Yeah. Well, we hit an hour here. I want to touch a little bit on turkey, and then we can kind of hop off here because you guys are real successful on turkey. Are you? I personally, I've hunted turkey a bit all over the place, and I'm not that seasoned turkey hunter that's running around all over Hell's Half Acre like with elk. I'm more of the ground blind guy. But are you guys? Running around, or are you setting up or blinds and decoys, or what's your general setup?
So I mix it up. Most of the time we'll put a ground blind on and use a couple decoys, and just such cool footage with the camera, and you just get them close and personal, 20 yards, and they're just strutting, doing their thing. It's cool. I've killed them with Danny's decoys. I mean, it's great too. Great way to hunt them too. Yeah, turkey hunting in Colorado is epic. Those Merriams in general, they're a blast. They're real vocal birds. It's not like anywhere else where there's people that come and hunt them from like eastern states. They're like, man, these birds are dumb. I was like, yeah, that's why they're so fun to hunt.
I'm with you, and I tell people that same thing. I personally like hunting dumb turkeys. It's much funner. Like when I say dumb turkeys, like they're very receptive to calling. They strut a lot more. When I say strut, they make a good show, like you said. There's more. When I say more, generally where I'm hunting, there's more. I can't say there's more, but you know what I mean. Like I'm hunting where I've hunted down south and back east. It is not my cup of tea. I like dumb turkeys, and I like them to come in and strut, and I like them to make lots of noise. And luckily for us, like you're talking about, Nebraska, South Dakota, Colorado, Wyoming, it's a fun hunt.
Yeah, shit. Even the Rio Grandes, man. I go hunt Kansas. They're pretty much the same way. They're a blast to hunt too. But like you said, you and I could talk for days about hunting. We love it, whatever season it is. That's what we're doing, man, and we're enjoying it. So it's such fun talking with you. Just the passion you have for it, like we do, is awesome.
Yeah, it's I mean the only thing that has probably killed it for me a little bit, and I say that this is in the last couple years, is when you make your job, you turn your passion and your fun or whatever you want to call it into your job. I would say that's one thing I would caution anybody is make sure, right? You look at Ralph and Vickie have done it for 30 years, 20, what is it? 20?
They've been in there a long time. Weird.
Well, I remember watching them hunting caribou, and I think it was another like Michael Waddell or whatever, like hunting caribou. I can't remember. And, it just, I don't want to turn this into a Debbie Downer. Careful making like your fun, your what excites you into a job, because it can burn out a little bit as far as that goes. The thing that's nice is there's always there's ways to make it exciting, meaning like I went from compound to trad, and then I've been hunting out west and then start hunting whitetails. And the thing is if you're not, just something about, everything that we do, it's hard to explain, and I can't say it because I don't golf, I like photography, but I just remember watching Chuck, and I'm sure the same way, Chuck Adams, right? Reading everything I could, or like watching Ralph and Vickie or the Primos videos or whatever. It's just what keeps you going, right? It just makes your life funner. Where if I didn't have hunting, luckily I'd have photography, but like the majority of my life is dedicated to hunting, and I know yours and Jess as well. What the hell would you even do if you didn't hunt?
Yeah, I know. So that's the thing. Like, if you have a passion for it, don't ever lose your passion. Like, who cares if you kill the biggest bull or this or that, or you get a picture of this or that? Do it because you love it. Like, I mean, you don't have to be Mr. Badass out there. Like, you just to go enjoy yourself, like experience the animals and like suck it in. Like, I had a successful elk hunt just because I had such an amazing time with Hunter and my wife and camping and like seeing the aspen trees change. Like, that's what it's about, is like, you can never forget how blessed you are to be out there. Like, even if you kill, that's just icing on the cake. You got to just suck it in and let it get to the soul, man, like I do. Like, I just have a passion for it, and I'm going to keep grinding those hills till I'm an old man and can't do it no more, you know?
Well, unfortunately, you're getting old, so much like me, to where I'm just blessed every year that I can keep and continue. I'm happy as my knees are getting worn out and everything else. And you couldn't have put it better. And that I was screwing that up, is keep it fun, right? Like, don't get wrapped up in social media. If you are a trophy hunter, great. But I mean, I get excited whether it's a spike or I got to keep it in my pants. Like, I've had 2 raghorns in front of me, and it's taken everything I had to not shoot them, because I like eating them too. And even a small elk's a big one, right? I mean, so
that, man.
Luckily for me, and I say me, Wyoming is very good to its hunters and its residents specifically. Dude, I get to keep hunting this specific tag to October 31st. So That's so cool. Dude, I can transition from a bow to a gun on a general tag, which is cool. And I'm not that much of a gun hunter, although I'm bringing in a 300 PRC, I think, on this one. But, that's like, if you're a bow hunter, great. But like Steve had mentioned in the beginning of this, man, everything is awesome, right? I'm primarily, I'm 95% a bow hunter, and all of it. And, I fish too, but like, just keep it fun and don't get to where, and there's guys, they just want to be famous, right? They just want, and that's not going to continue. You have to do it because you love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was telling Hunter the other day when we were walking out of the elk woods, I was like, I've been hunting these elk for so many years. And I was like, my body's getting tired. I don't know how much longer I can do it, but I was like, but luckily I have a new passion, and that's whitetail hunting. I love it, man. It's it's one of my favorite animals to hunt now. Like, Jess and I getting in our stands, and like in the November, it's just making our coffee in the morning before we head out. Like, just all the little things are so cool, man. And I'll tell you what, I was never a whitetail guy. Now I know why all these guys from back east love it so much. It's a blast, man. Like, figuring out what bucks are where, and like doing your scrapes and setting your cameras up and decoying them in. Matter of fact, we started using the Dave Smith decoys, dude, and it has been so fun with those things. Like, those big bucks are just running right up to us. Like, last year, Jess was by herself in her tree stand. I'm at work. She goes, "Honey, I just drilled a big buck." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me." She's like, "I put the Dave Smith, he came running in, and I drilled him at 20 yards, and he's laying there dead." And man, I was crying. I was so happy for her. But, it's just something so cool. Like, I just wish everybody could experience the beautiness of it, just suck it in, like enjoy it while you can, while you're young. And like you said, don't get caught up with all this stupid bullshit of trying to kill the big animal on the mountain and this and that. Just go out there and enjoy it and love it like we do, and you'll have a lot more fun.
Yeah. And I've been bashed a little bit for, if I had to pick today, elk or whitetail, I would pick whitetail personally. And it's because I've been blessed to hunt a lot of elk, and I've been able to kill a lot of elk. Gun to my head, dude, I'm picking whitetail. Like, I love whitetail hunting now, and I've had guys, "What the hell, dude?" And I'm like, "Have you done it?" Because from your out west, you generally don't do it as much, and there's something about sitting in that tree stand and hearing leaves crack behind you, or whatever. It's different than what I was raised with, but I'm not saying you choose whitetail over elk, but dude, I love whitetail hunting. I love it. It is the new thing, that and fly fishing. Like, and when I say that, there is a lot to whitetail hunting where some people think it's easy. Dude, I think it's harder to kill a 5-year-old plus whitetail than just about anything else. A mature whitetail is very difficult to kill.
You bet, man. Especially like how jumpy they are, human scent, like we're used to hunting elk and mule deer. Like we never used to wear rubber boots and like try to get in the right stand. Now we're starting to figure it out. We're rookies, but we're learning.
Yeah, well, that like you brought that up as far as rookies. I'm lucky that Scotty Campbell, my buddy down in Texas, and he's from Georgia originally. He's got a lot of friends and he's got a lot of experience. And anytime he starts talking whitetail when I'm down there, and I'll be the first to admit, like I have a pile of whitetails on the ground. I do what I'm told. This is how I kill whitetails, right? Like I have people ask me advice and I'm like, I am not the one, because I'm learning. I could give some advice. I'm learning from them. And don't get me wrong, for the most part, I hang my own tree stands. And, if I can't get down there, Scotty, does it. But dude, I tell you, like when you get into a true rut fest or you have a buck come in grunting, postured up, like, again, I shit the bed. Like I have to do everything I can because my right leg will shake so bad. If depending upon the tree stand I'm in, I have to like sit down and lift my right leg up and hope the damn tree stand doesn't squeak. It's bad for me.
I know, man. It's coming too. Another month we'll be in those stands getting ready.
Heck yeah.
Shit, I'll tell you what though, it's been awfully hot here in Colorado, man. It's supposed to be in the 80s next week again. I'm like, good grief, I want to see those 60s,
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, like with the whitetail and it extends the season, I guess, is what I probably should have said earlier. Is like you can get late rifle season, whatever. But I mean, as far as bow hunting goes, especially if you can find some areas to hunt outside of your state, or in your state, it just extends the season through November and into December, depending. And if you're in one of those states where you can shoot several of them, it makes it even better. So you get to continue your passion where, back in the day when I didn't hunt whitetail, into September, your bow season's kind of done. Like, you can get some stuff in October, but I mean, don't get me wrong. And you can hunt in rifle season with a bow, but for the most part, you get to hunt all the way to December.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. So I have September elk or August pronghorn, September elk, then the whitetails. Then I look into the pheasant season because I like to do a lot of bird hunting too and waterfowl. Then we start switching gears in like December and January doing predator hunting. So it keeps us busy. Then before you know it, spring turkey. So it's good.
No, for sure. Well, man, can you want to tell everybody kind of where they can follow you and Jess's adventures, on social and everything?
Yeah, so it's S&J Outdoors on Instagram, and like I said, pretty quick here, we're going to start ramping up the TV stuff with Ralph and Vickie. So hopefully we'll bring some good footage and action and just our lifestyle to you guys, and hope you enjoy it. And it was a pleasure being on here with you, Aaron, and I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I had a great time.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I appreciate the friendship. Tell Jess hello, and then hopefully I'm bringing in a gun, so I got the cheater bar. I will have a photo coming to you of some type of an elk soon, so I don't suck. But it's funny. I'm looking through my phone because we have the mutual friend that hunts down there with you guys. And then, I follow your page, and I actually saw where you were talking about getting your ass kicked. And I'm like, fuck, I got to call Steve because I just got mine kicked. I haven't done a podcast with him. So hopefully I'll have a photo for you. But yeah, dude, I appreciate the friendship. I'm glad you guys came on the podcast. And I guess are people, if they got questions or anything, you good with people reaching out to you?
You bet. I help out anybody I can, so I enjoy it. Right. And do me one favor though, get revenge on those elk for us. Make sure you get a good bullet right in those lungs. Okay.
Yeah, no kidding. Right on, dude. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. You take care. Nice talking to you.
You too.
All right. Bye.